Hello, Jesse Good here. Today we're taking a look at the LEGO Ninjago Stormbringer set from summer 2018. This was sent to me by LEGO, but all opinions are my own. Sorry, I'm just getting around to reviewing this. But this retails for $40. It has 493 pieces and 4 minifigures. So here is Jay, a new color scheme for the Ninjago sets. That's kind of a swap of the Ninjago movie sets. And his torso and everything is new for summer 2018, if I'm not mistaken. The design for his headband and everything is straight from the Ninjago movie, except for that swap of colors. He also has this little shoulder piece, which can hold some swords like the katana piece. Removing that gear gives you a look at the torso, as well as his face print, which mine might be a little bit misprinted there. And he does have an alternate face at the front, where he looks a little bit more ticked off. And here's Jay with his weapon pieces. You can see the sword is made out of 2 separate pieces, as is this little nunchuck-like accessory with this blade at the end. So here is Zane. This version also comes in the $110 set, if I'm not mistaken, but that's a vastly more expensive set than this $40 set. Nice new printing and legs for summer 2018. He does have the new head wrap and everything introduced in the LEGO Ninjago movie, but with the colors inverted. And he has this little quiver on the back. Okay, I mean, the colors weren't necessarily inverted, they just added black to the color scheme, but removing his quiver has his back torso printing, and removing his mask parts have his back facial printing, which isn't an alternate face, it's just literally the back of his robotic head. And his front facial printing looks pretty darn angry. And with his weapons, he has this sword as well as a bow and arrow. There's Daddy No Legs, who is probably the coolest figure of this set and is the only one that is truly exclusive. The design of this, of course, like all the villains in the set, are very heavily steampunk inspired, but he reminds me of that one guy from the LEGO Agents line from 2008. You got some printed little 1x1 circular tiles on the side, which aren't exclusive, but just a nice detail. A little movable vent at the back. Also some weapons as well, which are nice for him to hold. And he has this chain right here, which you'll see later in the set is actually used as a play feature. I really like how his face looks, even with the bandana covering it. But if you remove the bandana and that shoulder pad piece that kind of connects that vent and everything, you can see his torso is the same as Muzzle's, which we'll get to in a bit. And his face print underneath looks really funny with the kind of gold teeth. Or not really gold teeth, but yellow teeth. And there's a look at the back of his torso. Finally, there's Muzzle, who comes in the $70 set, and I think some of the more expensive sets. He does have lots of new pieces, while the torso and leg prints are new. This nice muzzle piece is actually connected to this shoulder pad, and then he has a separate piece for the top of his hood, which is pretty useful for other situations. I really like how that one came out. And the design of his face looks pretty cool, but we'll get a better look at that in a second. You can see that that muzzle piece can also hold a sword if you'd like. Once you remove that muzzle, mouth guard, shoulder pad, whatever you want to call it, you get a better look at his back torso, and even a better look at the front of his torso and his front facial printing, which has a little cloth kind of covering his mouth, like the scars on him. And if you're wondering how that piece worked, you can see it has lots of nice textures to it, and it just kind of goes around the torso of the minifigure. Muzzle has some neat weapons as well. So there's 2 builds of the set. First, we'll take a look at the Stormbringer Dragon. So to start off, you can see the length of the Stormbringer Dragon is really impressive, especially for a $40 dragon build. So I like how that came out, but some of the features in terms of its appearance, I'm not too much of a fan of. We'll start with the head, and the head has this extra thickness at the bottom that, I don't know, it just doesn't look right, especially considering this is just one whole jointed part. It makes the top of the head where the eyes are at, which is a very important part of the dragon, look pretty ridiculous. I do like the printed little eyes underneath, which are on, I think it was like 1x4s if I'm not mistaken. Those are exclusive to the set, and you get the same type of printing on the opposite side as well. You could open up the mouth pretty easily, and that actually has a play feature. So those are some very well hidden push missiles, which you can push from the top right here, and they shoot pretty hard. I like how just kind of covered those are. They do pop out from the back, which I understand. It's probably an extra reason why this bottom part's thick, so it kind of connects and doesn't get in the way of where Jay's at. There's some spikes at top, which I'm not too much of a fan of. I think they could have done another better looking way to illustrate the spikes. You have a chain connecting to Jay's seat right here, which the saddle itself can actually be removed from the dragon fairly easily. You just lift it up like that, because all it's connected by is these clips right here. You could easily snap the saddle back on just by pushing it right here. Other than that, the saddle itself has enough space for one minifigure. It does get a little bit cluttered here with all these chains connected to the saddle and then these weapons. So they give you 2 clips on the back so you can put those weapons there if you don't want to hold them onto Jay. Now to the left and right of that seat, they do have these wings right here, which aren't the most elaborate wings, but I kind of like the approach they had here. I don't know if these pieces at the back, which they kind of clip on with this little hinge right here, were the best decision, but I really like how they use these pieces, which come in this nice dark blue, and the lightning bolt piece. That really completes the design of those wings. And I like how that looks. And those can be rotated. There's a lot of rotatable parts right here. There's a mini ball joint that connects them to the actual side of the dragon. And you get some good rotation out of that. There's also these little guards right here, which you can move up and down, which just add to that really elegant and unique look of the wings. The side legs right here can be rotated as well. They're on this ball joint right here, and you can move them up and down, and then they have another ball joint right here at the bottom for the actual talons, and you could position those as you'd like. You could get some really cool poses and such. One thing I do notice, though, is that sometimes in some poses they kind of collapse, which is not the best, but that just might be because one of these ball joints has less friction than the other one. Now the middle of the dragon's body has a lot of these ridges that give it a very dragon-like look, which I do like. And you might be wondering why there's these modified 1x2s with the little railing pieces. Well, that's actually because you could attach one of the villain's weapons to connect to the dragon like this to kind of show that they're trying to capture the dragon. Very clever little play feature, and they blend in enough that it isn't like a problem or hindrance including these. I also want to take the time to appreciate the sides of the legs right here, which use those Nexonite shield pieces in very clever ways. And while we're on that topic, I don't know if I like that yellowish orange coloring that mashes with the dark blue and light blue. It just looks a little bit out of place. I will admit, though, it does look fine on the abdomen itself from the underside, which actually is much more impressive than I thought. Finally, there is this tail on the back, which is a little bit of a play feature. And not only does a play feature move on its own with boost, but if you don't have boost, you could use this little piece right here and snake it around, which is actually really fun. I like how that came out. The joints they use right here are loose enough so that it kind of wiggles around, and that's how it should be with a dragon like this. Also at the end, they use one of these spike pieces in just pure black, which is kind of nice to get as well. And while I feel like I didn't illustrate all of the different poses and potential you could get with these different ball joints, mini ball joints, and regular ball joints they use in the set, I do have to note that I'm kind of disappointed that there wasn't more rotation with key parts like the body itself and the head. You can only move the head so much because of this thick bottom part right here, which is kind of a shame in my opinion. It is nice to move the legs and everything like that, but it's hard to get different poses when the body is fixed like this. There's no middle joint or anything, which I don't know would be entirely possible, but in my opinion, it kind of makes these little different positions with the legs pointless, or a majority of them pointless, because you can only get so many different poses, and yet it still looks like a cat that just got scared and jumped in the air with this little archway. But that's it for the build. Let's take a look at the second one of the set. And the separate build is just a little armor piece display, which actually is some nice scenery. I like how this came out, and I like how they have this, what is it, the anvil right here, which I think is a really cool design. I like getting this piece in this color as well. And this armor piece only comes in the Dragon Pit, and I think that second biggest set, so this is a really cheap way to get it, which is appreciated as well. I'm just noticing that the right side of that is actually a dragon's head. That's a pretty clever touch. And you just kind of put it on a minifigure through their torso right there. Now, before I move on from the builds, it is important to know that you could connect this to LEGO Boost to quote-unquote bring your dragon to life, where you can move his little mouth right there, his tail, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the design of it connected to boosts because you can see it just adds these extra parts that make it look more robotic than it should. And it already isn't the best looking dragon. I do have a Lego boost, so maybe one day I'll connect it and do a little video on how it looks all together and how it functions. But that's it for the build. Let's take a look at the packaging and then the final verdict. The box of this set is just a $40 long box size, think Pig City Teardown. And we already took a little peek at the instructions, but at the end, they do have some more advertisements than just boost. They have a little feature showing the play features. They also have big little layout of the set. Big little layout. That's actually an oxymoron. Fun English fact of the day. And on the back, we have Lloyd telling you that you could win some free Lego products. So overall, I think this set is a really good deal for the amount of pieces you get, so adults will really like that, and it's a substantial build for $40. There's some great minifigures as well, with one being exclusive, and 3 being ones that come in more expensive sets. But the dragon, the main part of the set, I'm just not too enthusiastic about. I don't like the color scheme. I think the flaming orange, yellowish orange, or whatever it's called, clashes with that blue. Just, it does not work. And then the head right here, oof, I really don't like how that came out. This under part is a bit too thick. I don't know if that was a way to have enough space to kind of cover up the missiles right there. And then this top head part compared to that is just too small. I don't like the spikes either. I really don't like how this dragon came out. I do like some of the play features though, like the actual missiles are pretty well covered. And this tail moving part works nice. I like how you could remove the saddle right here. I like how you could capture him with this little spear right here. It's just the execution of that dragon I'm not a fan of. I actually like the firstborn dragon much more than I like this Stormbringer dragon. So if all that considered, again, the build execution isn't the best, but you do get a really good deal. You get some good play features. You get great minifigures. So I'd rate this one a B. I think it levels out to a B for all ages. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.